What is up guys, I am Jan here from Shooters Visual, and today I will be sharing my knowledge about photography. So this includes editing, color correction, color grading, setting the proper skin tone of the subject, balancing the white balance of course obviously, and then balancing horizon and many more. And also guys, please bear with me because I'm not that good in English. So aside from sharing my knowledge, sharing my photography knowledge and editing, I also want to hone my English speaking ability. Okay, so this is also something like that's my goal for today. Okay, so let's start editing. I actually opened the image already. Okay, so this was the portrait of my friend, okay, Aini, and the concept here was Christmas and boudoir concept. So okay, so let's start editing. So first, as you can see here, I am here at the basic. So there are many panels here, as you can see. So let's tackle that later. Okay, so for the basics, I'm starting at of course, from the top to bottom. So as you can see here, this is a shot, but usually I am not moving this. So of course I will choose as shot because that is the default. Okay, so if I am editing, I am usually starting from the temperature up to the bottom, which is the saturation. Okay, so the temperature also represents your white balance. So if you tweak this to the left, your image will be cooler, and if you will tweak this to the right, your image will be warmer. So in this case, I pump my temperature to +18. Okay, so I'm also adding greens to it, which is decreasing the tint. So I put this to -19. Actually, this is my settings. So actually -18 or -19 will do. Okay, so for the exposure, I am looking at my histogram. So if my histogram is on center weight, I am not tweaking my exposure. But if my histogram will be on, of course, leaning to the left, meaning that my image is more on underexposed. So if my histogram will be leaning towards the right, meaning that my image is overexposed. So in my case, my histogram is 0 or centered weight. Okay, so for the contrast, I will be decreasing this and putting it to -17 or 18. I think -17 will do. For the highlights will be -34. Okay, or 35. So for the shadows will be +13. And I will be decreasing my whites to -66, and my blacks will be +10. Okay, for the clarity, I will be decreasing this to -10 or -11. And for the vibrance, also -5 or -4. Saturation will be +3, I think. Okay, so I've also decided to tweak the tone curve. It is the most important part that photographers will be learning, no, this tone curve, because actually guys, tone curve is very hard to learn. So you must be skillful here and then use your eyes, because if you will move this, it will affect the exposure, the highlights, and the whites, as well as the shadows. Okay, so we will be tweaking this one. So for the curves, I will be pumping the blacks or the shadows up, and for the highlights or whites, I will be decreasing these settings. Okay, so for the shadows, I will pump this down. Okay, so as you can see here, my image is underexposed. So when it is underexposed, I am countering it by pumping the exposure compensation. Okay, I think 0.75 is the most appropriate since my histogram says that okay, it is already center weight or weight at the center. I think that's the most appropriate term. Okay, for the details or sharpening, usually I pump this to plus 100, and for the radius to 1.8, details will be I think plus 30 or between 30 and 35. So for the masking is plus 10 only. And my noise reduction is based on my ISO speed. So in this case, I'm using ISO 400. And by the way guys, I'm using my Fujifilm X-T20 here, plus my Meike 28mm f1.4, but I don't think that f1 here is the exact settings, but as I can remember, I've opened my aperture to 1.4 because 1.4 is the lowest aperture that I will be putting to my lens, okay, or I will be of course opening my lens, opening the iris of my lens. So in this case, since it is 400, it was not that noisy, so I will just put here to plus 15. Okay, so actually guys, this my image also is lit using the Godox TT520 version 2, I think version 2, and then it was mounted on my Triopo 55cm Octabox, and then it was double diffused inside, so the light that will be coming out from my flash will be not that harsh to lit the subject. Instead, since it was double diffuse, it will blow a softer light. Okay, so that's it. So that's for the sharpening. And for the grayscale HSL, actually guys, this is the most important and crucial part when editing our image. Why? Because as you can see here, there are many colors to tweak, and then this is not just the colors here. You will have to use the hue, saturation, and luminance. The 3 panels here, you have to adjust that one in a to the most appropriate color to your image, okay, and especially the orange because it affects, as you can see here, it affects the skin tone of the subject. Okay, so let's start editing. So when I edit in this starting this HSL grayscale, I start my editing here in saturation. So for me, in my settings, this is plus 6, and the orange will be plus 18, and for the yellows will be minus 47, and for the greens will be minus 100. Okay, so the aquas, blues, purples, and magentas, I will not move that anymore. Okay, so for the hue, we will be adjusting the reds. Pump this up to plus 13, minus 22, okay, minus 9. I think my mouse is that sensitive, so I think minus 10 also will do. And then my greens will be plus 71. Okay, plus 71. And again, my aquas, blues, purples, and magentas, I will not adjusting that one. Okay, so for the luminance, I will tweak the orange because as you can see here, the orange is the skin tone is very much saturated. Okay, so I will pump this up to plus 29 so that the skin tone of my subject, or plus 30, will be not that dark. Okay, so for the yellows, or I'm not adjusting that one, so for the greens will be minus 27. Okay, so we're finished, and let's proceed to split toning. So split toning also the most important and crucial part, especially when you are generating a preset. Okay, so split toning is very, of course, the most important and crucial part. And when you generate a preset, that applies to every situation of the image. So for example, when your background is green, when you're in indoor, when you're shooting indoor, shooting outdoor. So the split toning is very important because this is I think this will affect your image globally. So general. So in my settings, my hue will be 52. Okay, but anyway, I'm not moving the saturation anymore. So for my shadows, I will be pumping this up to 188 and then coloring it to, I think 11 will do, or 10. I think 11. Okay, so 11 is the most appropriate. So as you can see here, guys, this is the final color graded and color corrected image. But this is not my final image because as you can see here, there are wall cracks. Okay, and also here there are wall cracks in here, and also here there are blacks. I don't know where that black came from. I think this is from my Triopo. No, this is from my Octabox. Okay, so let's open this image. Okay, so by opening the image, we will now be able to clear out the things that something like it is not appropriate to the image. So for example, the wall cracks. So wall cracks actually is disturbing. So I will be using the heel brush tool to remove this. Okay, remove this. I will remove this. So for example, like that. So it is now removing that crack. Okay, and as well here the black. Okay, so it was removed, and if it is, so just okay, reiterate it. Okay, just like that. Okay, so in my case, in every portrait, I will apply some frequency separation. I hope that you learned something, and then of course guys, please bear with me, and I am very sorry that I am hoping that you learn, of course, something from this tutorial, because aside from sharing my knowledge to you, my photography skills, I am also honing my English speaking ability, because I am not that good in expressing myself in English straight. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching.